starting here in France in the papers. They're still continuing to react, aren't they, Flo, to this vote in Switzerland on Sunday to bring back strict quotas for immigration from the European Union.
There's a lot of emotion still today in the French press. Let's start by looking at the front page of Le Monde, which talks about how Switzerland's refusal is really shaking up Europe. Europe is still reeling from this vote, while Switzerland, meanwhile, looks like it's cut in two because of this vote. You had rural Switzerland that voted in favor of bringing these quotas back on working immigration. A lot of this immigration comes from France, so perhaps that's why it's still getting so much attention in the French press. Now, Le Monde says there are two lessons to learn from this vote. First of all, Switzerland wasn't really voting against the European Union here. They're just voting against European citizens, even though it points out that distinction might be a little confusing. But also, the people who voted in favor of these quotas, well, it wasn't so much that they were voting, it was populist politics, really. That's what everything was about. It was people that were voting in the countryside, that were voting in a way against the intellectual elite with this vote. So it was really a proof that these populist politics that point the finger at a scapegoat work. And so that should be a warning for France. L'Opinion also talks about the rise of populism in Switzerland. That's on the front page today. All this really weakens the European ideal, according to L'Opinion.
Now, Le Figaro, they're focusing on the timing of this vote, aren't they?
That's right. Le Figaro says this is a real warning for Europe with just a little over 100 days to go before elections at the European Parliament. And Le Figaro says this is really a cause for alarm. And indeed, a lot of European leaders have expressed their outrage, saying that, immigration is actually a very good thing for Switzerland. But Le Figaro says, the Swiss population has really spoken here. This is democracy. You can't look down on that. And Le Figaro raises an interesting point, which is that nobody has gone so far as to call this anti-European racism. But what would it have been if this immigration had been, say, against people coming from Africa or Asia? Now, Libération, the left-leaning paper, is also very alarmed by all this. This calls it the Swiss virus. Now, that image there, that Swiss cross that's tilted, might look a little familiar because it's the same that was used in the Charlie Chaplin film The Great Dictator, which mocked the rise of Nazism in Europe.
Okay, I can understand why the French papers are full of this story, but the international papers are talking about it too, aren't they?
That's right. It's on the front page of the Wall Street Journal today, and actually in its editorial, it talks about the Swiss fortress, and the Wall Street Journal says actually, this bringing back quotas will not be good for Switzerland in the long run.
And the Swiss press also seemed quite surprised, didn't they?
That's right. They're still talking about it too. Le Temps talks about less Europe, more trouble. So that's on their website. And let's take a look at the cartoon in Le Temps by Chapat, where you can see Switzerland painfully sawing its arm off there while it shakes hands with the EU. So lots of negative reaction in the Swiss press as well.
Okay, Flo will be back a couple of times over the next few hours on Live from Paris with more from the papers. If you're just tuning into the programme, let's bring you the latest news headlines. François Hollande, he's